the zone, breaking it down from her comfy throne. Smart as hell with a side of flair, politics sass and a killer stare. Daisy's lurking tail in the frame, chat's already playing their games. That target day, sharp and bold, hot takes drop while the chaos unfolds. Truth with bite, filth in the way, still showing up every streaming day. Brains and vibes, she leads the pack. Now buckle in, no looking back. That dark night, let's go!
Good afternoon. Hi guys. Do you think that this, like I said about earlier, here's my face again. It's actually not as bad as it was yesterday, so I'm willing to let you guys deal with it. Sorry, I have not covered it up because that will make it worse. So you're just gonna have to pretend that it's a little daisy, okay? Just pretend it's a little daisy on my face. Anyway, I think I'm more into it and upset about it than anybody else is getting. And I've taken my antihistamines and things like that, so I am fine. I'm able to speak without my disease, speak without hurting myself. Because yesterday, like honestly, smiling was sore. It was always an option. Yes, I know it would have worked, but I feel like that would probably be taken a bit like offensively. And also yesterday I missed you guys. I missed actually just looking at the camera. Like I did look at the camera a lot, and then I was like, nobody can see you, Chintzia. It's fine. Like, you know, because I kept like breaking off and giving speeches, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's just a cat's face, like beautiful cat's face, but yeah, you don't get the normal scuff and jank without my face there. So Daisy did a great job yesterday. She did. She's actually just come down off her perch. She's like, "Oh, I thought my time had come." Sorry, Daisy. So, guys, we actually even got a comment on the first stream yesterday. And initially, I thought this must be fake because I saw a comment that said it's from Greg Makes Videos, and it's like, hi, I'm Greg from the video, and it's really, I saw you looking at my section, whatever. Like, I'll read you the quote. But anyway, I thought it was fake because I'm like, bro is on Jubilee and stuff, and this channel that has commented here has 400 subscribers. So I'm like, nah, somebody is obviously jumping on his name and making a what's the name, making a channel off of it. But turns out it seems like no, this is legit. And that's him. He's not even a YouTuber. It's just that he's been in casting calls, and he's just a good personality that hasn't made content really yet. So I think he should be getting a lot more subscribers. So point is, what we're going to do is we're going to react to what he said about his Jordan Peterson debate. But let's also I'll read you I actually put the quote in the diagram because why not? It has space for that. So let's go to Xmond. There's Daisy. Oh yeah, hold on, Daisy, you can go here. I don't know where Daisy is. I put Daisy here. So you can go. Oh God, I can't see her. There we go. Small. There's a little Daisy. He's a little dude. So you can watch you. And here, I'm back. So, actually, maybe I can put her there. My little Daisy dude. Hi, Daisy. Hi, Daisy. There you go. There's Daisy, guys. The patient one. Yes, that's Greg. Greg is the patient one. So, yeah, he commented, and this is, let me read the comment. Hi, I'm Greg from the debate. Fascinating concept. That was very nice of him to say. Fascinating concept to make a diagram like this. Watched your analysis of my segment with Peterson. Was really fun to hear your perspective. The reason I front loaded a summary of his position and my critique of it into my opening statement was because I suspected he was going to just wander around the whole time. Sure enough, he did. So let's just look back at Greg. I'm sorry, that is Greg's bit. So let's go. Woo, we can do that. We can go. I can actually. That was David's one. This is Cade's. Okay, let's close Cade's one. And here is his, and he said he front loaded. So yeah, he front loaded with this. Basically, is what he said. So he put this with his definition, what his argument will really be. This was his approach, and he knew that this would happen. What Peterson would do, and he actually did it. So he really tried to corral him by starting off with a front loader, and then he asks questions. You see him asking questions to try and get away from it. And I really like, if you go back to yesterday, you'll see that very much what Greg does is say that's fascinating, and then try to go back to what we're talking about. Or that's fascinating, thank you. Could you relate that back to what we're talking about, please? In I think what was a very good manner. It was not too what do you call it? Confrontational, but he got confrontational. Jordan Peterson got confrontational, and at the end there, ugh. So anyway, let's get actually what we can do is let's hear what he said about it. So I thought we'd start off today that way. We can't have as much of a long session as we did yesterday, but I'm hoping I'll be a lot quicker because I have the transcript. But I'm using the transcript from here. Let me show you this from. Remember this thing here, transcript maker, transcript.io. They're the ones that give you like a little mind map of the transcript if you generate it. But I'm actually just going to use it to go through because it's just nice and navigable. So that will be it. But let's first, before we get to the actual diagramming, let's have a look at what Greg said about the debate and see if we can relate stuff. So I'm going to keep his side up here and see what he says. So he's also in this video, he also describes how he got onto Jubilee. And the email that he has on this video or this channel is Greg from that video at gmail.com, because basically that's what he is at the moment. Like that's what he's about. So this is where he's at. Let him fucking talk, Chinsia. Okay.
Hi, Internet. My name is Greg, and I debated Jordan Peterson for Jubilee Media's Surrounded series. And I'm filming this video prior to the Surrounded video coming out. I'm going to release this simultaneously.
So he apparently went on a show afterwards, and had similar discussion about this.
With the release of the Surrounded video. Because I have not yet seen the Surrounded video as of recording this, I'm relying on my memory of what happened the day we filmed. So
that's freaking cool because he doesn't know what was cut out when he wrote this.
So first,
when he filmed this.
Why am I in Jubilee videos? Well, there's a how and then there's a why. So first, here's the how. Here's how it happened. A few years ago, I applied to the TV show Jeopardy. My husband loves Jeopardy, and I am not a good pick for that show. I don't know a lot about sports or pop culture or any of that. But I thought if somehow I make it through the casting process, my husband will get a kick out of seeing me on his favorite show.
He what's the name? He was actually he's just a pick from casting. And what's the name? He didn't even really want to go on Jeopardy, but just like, oh well, it's just my husband will be there, will enjoy seeing me there. Greg Boyer, the audio is unforgivable. Hey, I'm playing him at 1.5 speed, and it's my audio probably that you're unforgivable, that you're finding unforgivable. So let's go.
So I applied, and luckily the casting people over there did their job and did not put me on their show. I don't think I would have been a very good contestant. However,
You
even
don't
though I
know.
did not make it onto Jeopardy, I did make it onto a casting mailing list where every few months I would get an email saying, hey, you've applied to TV shows. Do you want to apply to this TV show? And occasionally I would. And eventually I actually got onto a show, which is the Mr. Beast Beast Games. I am old.
So he actually is on Mr. Beast games. Not that I watch that, but like, so he's like a really good pick to have on your show, your TV show. Just a personality that is enjoyable.
Older than Mr. Beast. I was not too familiar with his content because I did not grow up watching it, but I was like, oh, that's the guy that all the kids watch, where he says you have to stand in a circle and then he'll give you like $1 million. Sure, I'll do that. So I applied and I actually got on. I got cast in the show.
Also,
and
what's with the bananas? I'm very happy for them though. It's very quirky. He's so quirky.
somebody I met in that cast was like, you should apply for Jubilee. So I applied for Jubilee, and then I ended up being on Jubilee. So that's the how of it. I kind of stumbled into it. It is this big chain of events that started with my husband likes Jeopardy. Now, why do I do these videos? So there's kind of three things. The first is honestly the convenience. I live in Los Angeles County. The show films in Los Angeles County. Excuse me, the Jubilee shows film in Los Angeles County. So it's like a half-hour drive for me to go to the studio. It's usually like a half-day commitment on a Saturday.
So they're just like, you know what? Bring old Greg in. He'll have a good conversation with anyone. Okay.
Or Sunday. It's pretty easy. The second of the three reasons I do Jubilee is because I have a lot of experience and training talking to the public in informal educational settings. And if these videos are being made, which they are, I think that we should get people who have some of that training and some of that experience be the people in the videos, especially if they're advocating for things that are good and against things that are bad. And then
that actually, his experience shows his patience, guys. His patience was trained into him, essentially. It's giving power bottom. Get out of here, Dildo, you little shit. So yeah, he's actually, maybe his patience it has been trained into him. He's about communicating ideas and things like that. So maybe he has a bit more good faith already involved. He has good intentions for involving himself in this.
And finally, honestly, I am a sucker for a crazy experience. If there is something that even seems unenjoyable, but it's like, I will get a story out of this.
High openness to experience.
I'll do it. And so I'm not going to lie. It's a crazy experience to go on Jubilee. And I don't mean to imply that it's a negative experience to go on
Okay, yeah, you better check out before, because otherwise you won't be called back if you say it's negative.
Jubilee. All the people who...
Although, how did you keep your cool? Because it seems like the lights are really hot there.
Run the video shoots are very nice and accommodating, and they got sandwiches and free Celsius energy drinks, and it's a very smooth experience. But it's also a crazy experience, and I like doing crazy stuff. So that's sort of the convenience, the ethical justification, and the recreation. All those.
Okay, hold on. The lack of ripeness in the bananas making you uncomfortable. There's two ripe bananas there. And some people like firmer bananas. Okay.
Mind to where I am on Jubilee. On to Jordan Peterson in particular. So it was very funny in a way.
It was very funny. The end.
To be in the room with him, because I gotta be honest, I have seen a lot of Jordan Peterson memes. I may have done a Jordan Peterson impression or two.
Is it on this channel? I need to see this.
It was kind of like...
Everybody's done a Jordan Peterson impression. The quality, I think yours would probably be better than mine.
You know the movie The Ring, where the ghost girl crawls out of the TV and now she's in the living room? It was like a fun version of that. It was like my meme. I just pulled out of my phone. And
that must be kind of surreal. That's not starstruck exactly, but it's like, oh, that's really him. It's really, your brain just goes, no, it's not 2D anymore. That's him. That's the guy. Your meme is right in front of you.
And one of the first things he did, which I think fans and enemies of Jordan Peterson alike will equally find
fans and enemies,
is the director told him, introduce yourself and say you're surrounded, right? Because that's the thing they all do at the start of the surrounded videos. They go like, yes, I am Jordan Peterson. I am a professor and I work at the Daily Wire. And today I'm surrounded by 25 atheists, right? That's what they're expecting. Instead,
right. This is a point that I wanted to see what he's talking about, because I wanted to know, and I should have checked, but did not. But hopefully he can tell us. Because with the surrounded, when they do say I'm surrounded by blah blah. So I'm a conservative and I'm surrounded by this many Democrats or something like that, 20 Democrats. That's what they say at the end. But I don't know if the I'm part is. I don't know if they say I am I am so and so, blah blah, and they have to give themselves the label, and then they give the others the label. So him saying I'm Jordan Peterson and I'm surrounded by this many atheists, that makes sense to me, and that's what actually came out of the cut. It didn't say, he didn't say I'm Jordan Peterson, I'm a I was going to say I'm a Catholic. That's not. I'm Jordan Peterson. I'm a Christian, and I'm surrounded by this many atheists. So I don't know if that's that they get that specific in it. It is very tribal, Lucy. Like literally, it's like state your tribe. I am state your tribe, and that's and then you say it. But that's the whole point of the format. You're a carnival.
Jordan Peterson goes into this very Jordan Peterson kind of meditation on himself.
Oh no! Did he just carry on talking about himself? Oh no! That must have made everyone so uncomfortable and awkward. Like, you know, like when an older person starts waffling on, and you're just like,
it's like sincere and very thoughtful, but also just kind of like unaware of its lack of suitability to what we're here for. And so he just kind of goes, "Who am I? I'm a father."
Oh, so he. Shame. So they had to cut it. They'd be like, "Sorry, sir, Mr. Peterson, just please say the line, the prompt. Yeah, just say that." Okay. Can you imagine trying to? I wonder if they had to wrangle him on the claim, because you have to. I know that it's a very reductive format, so you have to do it as shitty as "Here is my claim" sentence. Can you imagine? You've confined him to sentences, which is very difficult.
I'm a thinker.
He's a thinker, guys. Jordan Peterson is a thinker.
Warrior for truth.
Which means he's on our show. That's what I mean.
I'm a professor, although the people at the university don't like that very much.
Oh.
I suppose I'm engaged in battle today. Like,
oh my god. This is who I am, engaged in battle today. Oh my god.
Go in. And at one point the director had to be like, Jordan, or excuse me, they said Dr. Peterson, right? Dr. Peterson. That was so good, so great. Let's do another one a little bit shorter.
Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. I would have died. Like, just in terms of like, no, that's not how this works. You know what? This actually gives me like it really does. It shows this is that what the world he's living in all the time. Is like he's become this massive personality, and he's always got to walk around engaging with what he thinks people see of him, and it's he doesn't just stay down on Earth and just interact the way he used to. So he's become a bit.
So then the thing gets going, we all are trying to talk to Dr. Peterson, and it ended up that I think everyone went once, except for everyone who went only went once, except for the person who went at the very end. You did a great job, by the way.
Xena.
The person who Jordan picked at the end to do the 10-minute debate.
I really thought he would have picked Greg. I really did. When I was first watching it, I was like, because Greg's he's pickable, man. Like maybe it's because out of the first three that we watched, he was just the most patient and whatever. And I was like, that he builds. But the thing is, of what I've seen in the Jubilee things, he builds rapport a lot better.
So I got one shot at him. And the topic was...
And I think they spoke a lot longer than the others. This
is not an exact quote, but it was like, when atheists say they don't believe in God, they don't even know what they're saying. And it's yeah,
it's basically the same. So this if we go to the diagram, this is the claim that we were on. They don't know what they're rejecting. Okay. Oh, why is there a floating topic? You go away. So Greg, yeah.
Jordan Peterson argument that I was already familiar with, because in preparation for this video, I prepare a lot for all the videos, and in preparation for this video, I did listen to some Jordan Peterson stuff. And I'd heard him make this argument before, which is like, words have multiple meanings. And in particular, you have a lot of different concepts of things like God, faith, religion, belief. You can have God as what most people think of, right? Like an omnipotent, omniscient, powerful, supernatural being.
See, this is exactly what Greg did. He gave that definition of God and said, this is what it is, and this is what I'm rejecting as an atheist. And he just would not allow him to have that definition. He was like, oh, I don't understand it, and all of this. And just a reminder that before Greg went, Cade spoke to him. Cade was the first one who spoke to him. And one of the things he had said is that one of the things he told to this person, Cade, was, oh, if we don't agree on a definition, on the meaning of things, then we can't have a conversation. And then this beauty happens, where he goes over here and does not want to ever agree on any of this, any of these definitions himself.
Being that interferes with reality, but you could also have God as like a Jungian archetype, or God as your highest value, or what have you. You can veer into these other concepts of God, right? And it's interesting, but I don't see how it is a rebuke of atheism, because when someone says they don't believe in God, you understand from context how they are using the word God. And if you say, well, here's 25 other definitions or connotations or metaphorical encapsulations of God, and do you mean your sentence, I don't believe in God, if I substitute in every one of these like 24 other definitions of God? Like, maybe not, but so what, right? Because when we are talking every day, we tend to use words.
Oh, but he goes, sorry, I'll show you where he says it. He says he doesn't care about common parlance. Eventually, he said he doesn't care about common parlance, which Greg gets him on. He's like, listen, no, but it's not relevant for our conversation, common parlance. And he goes, I don't care about common parlance. It's like, well, then we can't common parl. We can't talk. We can't parlay in commonality then.
With only one meaning intended, right? Like, I'm a big hip hop fan, and sometimes a really good rapper will say like a triple entendre, where it's like, oh wow.
Sorry, I'm just taking this away instead. Triple entendre. Hold up, I've got to put you over here so I can see what's going on with everybody else. There we go. What do you mean by Greg? This is Greg. But I don't know. Greg has to tell us whether he was. Greg said, "Who am I? I'm at battle today. I am father of bananas." Define Greg. Greg today is this. Is wearing a cap. But when he takes his cap off, it means something different. Yeah.
If you think of that word they use in like 3 different senses of that word, the sentence still makes sense, right? How cool.
How cool.
But when you're normally just talking to people, right? Like, I think I brought up to Jordan, I said, if I ask you where the bathroom is, you understand?
Oh, so that did not get put in. If I ask you where the bathroom is,
for context clues, I want you to point to where the bathroom is, right? And if you say like it's in North America, it's like, okay, that's not how I meant the word where.
yes, there is as we know, Peterson understands this. He himself gives us this idea, and I will show it to you. I think I'll give it like the rough wording that he gives us. He actually says it all very nice and eloquent. He goes here. Yeah. Not the presupposition. He's got this thing where he says communication. So let's actually just find it. Communication. Okay, yeah. Communication assumes commonality of assumption and definition. So that's literally what Greg came to him about and said, fine, we're communicating contextually. What we're communicating using the definition that most people use, because that's what we're doing in this video, number one. But when he says communication assumes commonality and assumption of definition, when Peterson says that, what he means is like in Greg's example, okay, when he asks where's the bathroom, but contextually everybody assumes that it means within this room and with your body pointed out. Wow.
I also brought up the Mona Lisa. I said, if I saw the Mona Lisa, I might say that it was an emotionally moving experience, which means that it caused me to feel something emotionally, right? But if you said, well, you said it was moving, but the Mona Lisa is nailed to the wall. It's not physically moving around. It's like, okay.
Whoa. So yeah, he front loaded all of that because he knew that Peterson would walk outside of it, which is what he did.
It's not relevant. So what? So that was kind of where me and Jordan sort of, we didn't even arrive at an impasse. We kind of began at an impasse of,
because he sets it out, and bro just did not want to interact. You could have even said, my definition differs from yours, and then we can talk about it. None of that conversation occurred.
Just me saying, I don't really find these other definitions and ideas of these religious terms relevant to this debate. And then Jordan was like, well, let me give you more of them.
That's exactly what he did. And no, but please tell me, I want him to tell us about the end, because the end, he got really vuss. He got really ugly to Greg. And Greg's just like, bro, I'm just talking.
Like, have you ever heard this one before? Or what about this one? And that's kind of what I was doing. And I was like, okay, sure, but
I will, Creamage. It will have to be next week. We'll see what he's in LA, so see what time he's around. But also, we might be too small time for him at this point, but I'll ask him.
But so,
I mean, I have many questions, as you can see.
Oh, what? So yeah, that was my debate with Jordan. I was happy with how it went. And yeah, overall, so
it would, you know, what'd be so cool is to go through the diagram with him, with Greg. If you, I don't know how autistic he is. Okay, so if he wants to go through the diagram with me, that would, my heart would be immensely joyful, because I would be like, what were you thinking at this node? You know, that kind of thing.
Obviously, I don't believe in God. That's why I was casting the video. But I don't really have a problem with religion.
You could see that. That's why. And I think some of, well, the atheists we've seen so far are not like crazy about religion being horrible. It's like they don't agree with it. They're not like the 2016 atheists, or 2006 atheists actually, that are very much like they're trying to convert you to atheism. It's just like, no, they're just defending their position of atheism against the religious person.
I have a problem with extremism. I have a problem with fundamentalism. But I know from having lived in the world and gone outside. And
he likes saying that. From lived in, he's done that. I know from having lived in the world. He's said that several times.
Met people and having looked at history and looked at contemporary religious figures, that there are religious people who are very intelligent, very thoughtful, very ethical, a force for good.
I wonder if he remembers that he said to Jordan Peterson, you're a very intelligent person, or you're a very knowledgeable person.
And there are religious people who are not. And there are religious movements.
It's true. It is actually true. Debates between believers and non-believers are pointless. It would be more interesting to have debates about belief, about the application of the Bible between believers. That's more interesting and more productive, really.
Which are great. And there are religious movements which are not, right? And then on the other side of the coin, science is invoked in all sorts of ways, right? You have eugenics and Lysenkoism, right? And then you have polio vaccines and going to the moon, right? Like we can, and yes, maybe we can have a discussion about, on balance, at this sort of 10-mile high view, if we do like a sociological analysis, is organized religion a net good for society, right? I suppose you could have that conversation, but I think that's sort of an academic conversation. I don't think it is a practical conversation.
Yeah, let's think about academic versus practical conversations. Do we think we're having practical conversations in Jubilee? I don't know. They're in an academic and practical conversation. They're just trying to have the most heated conversation, or the most clickable conversation ever. So, what is an academic conversation versus a practical conversation? I don't think we have practical conversations mostly on the internet. Hey, RJP.
I don't think it's fair to take whatever you think is the answer of that very big question and use that to write off individual people. I think that people should be judged individually. And there are so many people.
Spoon would say you're a libtard, because I also believe that. So I know.
In the history books, in my personal life, in society today, who are religious, who I think are great. My understanding of Jordan Peterson's position, and it's very hard to get an understanding of his position because he doesn't really like.
He will not let you, because he's slippery.
Saying things plainly, is he seems to think that without Christianity, either like literally openly Christian stuff, or like the kind of the ghost of Christianity, right? The fumes of Christianity.
Oh God, I think we're gonna get that in this, because today's prompt, guys, is it's the there is no morality and purpose can't be found within science. So I think we're gonna get the keyword fumes of Christianity. from Peterson today.
That the world would kind of fall apart. And I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. I think you can look at many secular societies that rank very highly on things like life satisfaction, crime, health. To be clear, rank highly on crime as in like there's not a lot of crime. You can look at all these secular societies that are full of crime, and I love that. I hope you get what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, I don't think the world falls apart if we lose Christianity, and I think that there are plenty of wonderful Christians.
We don't have to know, actually. I guess that's a moot point. It's like, we don't know. The world developed as it developed. We can just talk about this. It's not a really practical conversation because nobody's going to eradicate it. Well, they better not. And as you said, yeah, it's there are some good Christians out there.
So, that's my perspective. Anyways, if you are seeing this on YouTube, my TikTok is at Bread from Video.
Oh, I don't TikTok. Guys, if you watch TikTok, here you go.
Bread from Video, and then just the number 1. If you're seeing this on TikTok, I occasionally post on YouTube, Greg Goes Videos, and maybe I'll be in another Jubilee video someday soon. Okay, bye. Thank you for watching.
Okay, bye. Sorry, there are suggestions of Pedro Pascal fatigue is so that's Greg. Enjoyed that bit of speaking. It makes sense. TikTok is ass, yeah, absolutely. But Greg's obviously younger than us, and so he likes them TikToks, and that's perfectly fine. So he's obviously, yeah. So it seems like Jubilee is not only interested, because I thought with Jubilee they're only interested in like social media personalities talking, and that's what they're interested in. But being they actually just have a casting call. Okay. Anyway, let's go into claim 2 today. Yeah, I will reach out to him and see if he wants to talk about the stuff. How old do you think we are? You're like, okay, that's the thing. I say we, I'm thinking of like me and Zach's. Really. Okay. So, okay, yeah, you're a little boy, JP. I think of you as a baby. Also, guys, pay attention to the up here, the life bars. You can see that Peterson is really low on health. Okay, and this was from claim 1. So let's see how claim 2 does. We have 2 hours to go, and then I have to stop. So let us, without further ado, let's create a new one, new sheet form topic. There we go. Claim 2. Okay. This is oh, look what it did, Brian. Luke, it did it. It created a little sheet for me, so that's cool. Okay, let's get back into the video. That is a health bar? It is a health bar. You agree with claim 2, so you think that science doesn't give us morality. Well, let's see what you think of the arguments given by people that believe in this, that are against this quote.
Cannot be found within science.
Purpose is pretty difficult. I would agree with you, but morality, it seems like morality, you can argue for morality in terms of what do you call it? In terms of cooperation being good enough for the organism, for the human organisms to evolve further. Let's see. What can I put here? Sorry, I'm just checking. Morality. I'm just getting myself oriented with the transcript. And purpose can't be found within science. Okay. Brave of you to do this. My next claim is, okay, there we go. We're at this point. Jump to. Okay. Take that away. I'm trying to get to the... auto scroll. So there you go. Okay, there we go. Because we are not using the actual video. It would be cool, but Jubilee would strike us. So here we go. It's just so that I'm using the transcripts and I'm not going to copy paste as much because we have to do that. Okay, we have to do that with Peterson a lot of the time because his words are very precise. But we are just trying to put down people's ideas here in terms of the amount of detail. Okay, let's go. Oh yes, for anyone who's new here, we've made the voices squeaky as well because Jubilee doesn't like us doing stuff. Because you know me, who pauses after every sentence, might be copyright, infringement.
What is up, Mr. Canada?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
What's
How are
your
you?
name?
Brian. I think it's
Okay, so Brian. Cool, Brian.
interesting that you say that morality and purpose can't be found in science. Actually,
No, within science.
within sure.
Okay, within science. In science. Within science. Did he just quibble about in science? He did. He says, I'm doing great. What's your name, Brian? I think it's interesting that you say morality and purpose can't be found in science. And then he goes, within science. That's the debate brain already. He already corrects him when bro is just saying in instead of within. Okay, interesting. I guess we have to be precise. It's a rule, right? It's a rule. So okay, he says it's interesting.
Sure. Purpose, I actually grant you because purpose.
Purpose, I grant you. He says, okay. So let's put that. Purpose, I grant you.
Is subjective, right? Unless you want to
Okay.
boil it down to the purpose of life is just to procreate, right? Sure.
Okay. So this is seeking an idea. Purpose can be found in science, actually within science. Okay, sure, whatever. Purpose, actually, I grant you, because purpose is subjective, right? Unless you want to boil it down to purpose of life is to procreate. Okay. So purpose, I grant you, because subjective. Another way you could say purpose is, or boiled down to procreation, if you want. Okay. What's next?
Whatever. Morality is actually something that we do see. We actually
So morality is something we do see. Cool. What's next?
have examples of Neanderthals, an older individual was found in a tribe, missing an arm, missing teeth, still alive somehow in his 40s, 50s, right? Typically, you're a Neanderthal, you can't eat, you can't hunt, you die, right?
So morality, you can do that as a circle, and then he brings up Neanderthals with missing teeth, and that means that they were being taken care of. Okay.
But we know that members of the tribe were taking care of him.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I forgot about it. Thank you. Sorry, Creamage. TDK background music. You are so right. Open and put in. There you go. We good? We good. Okay.
Right? So we know that at some level, early in our evolutionary history, we actually developed altruism.
Okay, so meaning that we got altruism here. Developed altruism. Evolved altruism. It's healing up nicely. I thank you. I hope so. I am going to the doctor though, just for further checkup.
have examples of chimpanzees who actually have a basic understanding of fairness, right? If you give
Here I think they are missing each other's points. I think JBP is saying science can produce or inform as to what is ethical. The atheist is saying science can reveal there is ethics in nature. Again, then we're just talking past each other again. Which is ironic because Nietzsche said, be careful fighting monsters so you don't become one. Ooh, interesting. That's very interesting considering Peterson. I don't mean to be pedantic, I'm just saying that Jordan Peterson kind of tries to deconstruct Christianity to make it more scientific. He always says that people need to be monsters. People need to be monsters? Or like, so it's like there is a human need to be a monster? Or humans just are monsters, they can't help but be monsters?
chimpanzee 2 grapes, right? And his buddy gets 3, right?
Developed altruism. Okay, the chimpanzee's concept of, so we had the Neanderthals, the chimpanzee concept of fairness. Okay, with the 2 grapes, they notice it. Okay, he says that people should be a monster and control it. It's like a slogan of his. I don't remember. I thought it'd say slay the monster of the depths and things like that. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, I haven't heard that version of it. Okay, so somebody's cooking something really delicious on my floor, on your floor, the floor of their building, and it's really good. Okay, concept of fairness. Just the 2 grapes. This is 3 grapes. And then he goes, oh, okay, he's going to talk about the... Sorry, this is music loud. Maybe I put it louder yesterday for myself. Jesus. Yeah, okay. Oh, you know why it's loud? Because I put it louder in... I put it louder in media player. Is that okay, guys? How is the music? Why I write such great books, chapter in Echer Homo, what? Yep, being capable of monstrous things but choosing not to commit to them. Yeah, okay, commit them. That's what I would find being human. Capable. Understanding. That's very Jungian as well. Like understanding the dark side of yourself. Okay. Continue.
He actually freaks out, right? But you give both chimps 3 grapes and they're good. We have examples of parrots.
Except for the greedy chimps.
Even go, except for the greedy chimps. So he brings up this for the greedy chimps. I don't think it's actually in the context. You think, oh, it's fine. He's just mentioning that there are greedy chimps, but like considering with the whole James Lindsay stuff, you kind of you go, okay, hold up. He's really fixated on these psychopaths. Except for the greedy chimps. I will. That's why I'm putting this as a note here. Isn't it like, okay, fixation on psychopaths, pathic. I don't know. I'm reading into it. I know, but just from what we've just experienced with James Lindsay, the James Lindsay thing. Ta-da. Okay. Any greedy chimps in chat? I'm a greedy chimp because I can smell some good lunch, man.
Except for the greedy chimps.
They want 4 grapes.
They want
They want 4 grapes. So epic, boy.
4 grapes. You know, those do exist, right? But we have similar examples where we do animal tests, right? And
So morality is intrinsic.
Okay, so he's talking about animals. I guess we get a question. So morality is intrinsic. So like it's there, whether we have it or like we developed it, right? That is a good enough question. I think if you're talking about morality in animals, I'll just put here animal studies. Okay, so he's just talking about, no, here's some science that I'm speaking about. That gives us the idea of altruism. I think the depth of morality, you know, like, then we're getting into the depth of consciousness, and that is pretty complex. But I guess you can easily go, oh well, we just evolved it. We evolved consciousness. So that's just how it happened. As we evolved consciousness, we evolved language, and language helped us collaborate, and then we developed altruism. It's kind of like the same sort of another kind of gotcha that people try and do for atheists is, you see, you believe in evolution in the same way you would believe in God. It's like, well, okay, they're comfortable with that belief. They are.
I think
So it precedes science.
I think that actually
right?
a better way to define it would be that social animals, which we are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Did he say it precedes science? Okay, hold on. Let's go down here. Morality is actually something that we do. No, sure. Grant you because purpose. Okay, hold on. Want 4 grapes. Chimps, grapes, and they're good. We're examples of parrots. Okay, 1 4 grapes. You know these do exist. But we have similar examples and tests. And so morality is intrinsic. I think it precedes science. That was actually it precedes science. He says it precedes science, as in, like, that means we developed morality and then we went and created science. I think that's where he's going with that, but I don't think that makes this argument fall apart.
Require some level of morality, or
Into what?
A better way to define it would be social animals, which makes us require. Okay, so that's what he was getting at earlier anyway. We are social animals, so humans are social animals. They require morality to stay together, but then you go and you see that there are other communal sort of animals that also kill each other all the time. And they don't have the heightened sense of morality that we do. So I think that might be something to talk about. I guess then you have to get into the fact that we are way more conscious. So that helps us. That means our morality will be a lot more complex than an animal's. But an animal isn't moral. An animal is just looking at what is best for them and what is best for, I suppose, collectively them. Okay, so ugh. I'll jump to, there we go. So we've got whatever morality is actually something we do see. Okay, jump to, but we do know that members of tribes taking care of him, right? Yes, that was it. Give chimpanzees, sorry, I'm still fucking working with this transcript, which is supposed to be easier than using Word, which is not. Or is morality a construct of our higher consciousness? Social? You're not a social animal, Andrew. Okay, morality are human, so they require morality. This is what you're telling me? We need that to exist as a group. They require morality to exist as a group. I'm going to actually put these as 2 different statements, but they do follow on. This is how he does it. There are 2 statements, but they do follow on from each other. So let's do that. Okay. How is it not scientific? Okay, wait. I'm not disagreeing. Ooh. Would be social animals. Okay, let's see. Where is that?
I'm not disagreeing.
Sure.
Why do they require that?
Because it's
Okay. Why do they require that? Let me check where he's at. Social animals, which we require some level of morality. I'm not disagreeing. Why do they require that? Okay. Why do they require that? Oopsie, why?
It's the only way that social groups can actually survive, right?
That's my point with
Sure.
regards to science. Thank
What? Oh my goodness. Oh, he tried to get a gotcha. Why, Peterson? Why? Yeah, bro is just sitting there talking to you. You know, you don't have to go hard. So he goes, okay, he tried to get a gotcha here. Did you guys see that? We have similar examples of where animals' rights, okay, cool, blah blah. Why does it keep going backwards? Fuck this. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, websites. I can't do this. Just hold on. I'm gonna have to put this into a Word document. Even a Word document that just has endless words attached to it. Let me see. Copy transcript. I'm putting it into a Word document because this is just ridiculous. Okay. Fine. And let us put this back. Here I thought I was being really cool and smart, but I was not. Okay. That's not it. There you go. Okay, I've read, okay, blah blah. Do you have personal favor of if you massage his ego well enough, you get a personal favor from him? Okay, so why do we require that? Okay, let's just, sorry, let me just find that. Why do we require that? What? Why do we require that? I'm looking for it. Is it still not, it's not actually... Guys, my Word document, sorry, I'm just trying to work through this Word document and it's gone a bit stupid. You're a Christian, you say that. 17,000 words, interesting. So yeah, why? Yeah, why do you require that? Do they require that? They require that. Sorry guys, they require that. We should be on track now. Yes, thank you. View, and we go into read layout. There we go. Because it's the only way that social groups can actually survive. Right. That's so. This is his point. He goes, why do they require that? Yeah. This, and then he goes, he answers it because that's the only way they can live together. Which, okay. And he goes, right. That's my point with regards to science. Thank you very much. What does this fucking mean? This is supposed to be his conclusion. Listen to him.
Thank you very much for that.
Because it's the only way that social groups can actually survive, right?
That's my point with
Sure.
regards to science. Thank you very much.
Guys, hello?
Is that?
What does this mean? What do you mean? He acts like this is a gotcha, right? Am I correct in saying he thinks he's like really like slam dunk, boys? Pack it up. Is that's what I'm getting from this? Seems to think this is a slam dunk kind of gotcha moment. Thank you. That's what my point with regards to science. It's the only way that social groups can actually survive. I don't know what this person is, what he's on about. Okay. Right. That's my point with regards to science. Thank you very much. Is that precisely the point that you just made? Okay.
Precisely the point that you just made, that science has to exist within a moral framework that isn't in itself scientific.
That's so apparently there he explains it to us. That's precisely the point that you made. That's precisely the point that you just made, that science has to exist within a moral framework that isn't itself scientific. Did he make that point? Did he make that point? He's acting like this guy made the point. Obviously, he's performing it. He's performing this as he misinterpreted, or he took the guy's words and jumped onto them and said, this is what you're arguing, right? Just to perform a gotcha that isn't really a gotcha. But he's like, that's precisely the point that you just made. You need to explain this. Maybe I'm being stupid. So you need to explain it to us, slower people. So cool, congratulations, you got your gotcha moment. But I need you to explain why it's a gotcha to me. You can't just act like it's a gotcha and then continue. Until God comes down and bitch slaps you, this is all rhetoric. Oh, it is. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's nice to see what people like we've got atheist gamer here who's like, no, I actually believe the science doesn't give us purpose or something like that, or he actually doesn't he agrees with this claim. So but at other times it's full atheism. So it's all of it. It brings people to what are their opinions. It makes you ask questions of yourself, at least.
That's not scientific.
That isn't it. So how is it not scientific? Yeah. So he's like, he said it has to exist within a framework that isn't scientific. So science has to exist within a moral framework that isn't itself scientific. So science is in morality. And that does go with his idea of it precedes science. That's what he was going for in the first place, right? This is the point he wanted to make. So let's go. He wanted to make when he said, and let's make a relationship when he said this. When he said it precedes science. Now, usually, as you would have seen when I am fanboying hard for Jordan Peterson, it is, I go, wow, he does this little sentence, and then he goes and he explains it further. But the way that he did this here, this is in a debate format, it doesn't work. When you're just having a conversation, I guess I'm okay with it. But the way that he goes, it precedes science, and here, this is not making shining for me. It's not shining. It's just being like, you just decided that's the point you wanted to make. You don't really care what's happening in between, what this guy's actually saying. You just know what you want to say. So maybe we could have started the conversation with you explaining another weakness of the format, you explaining what you mean by your claim. But anyway, precisely a point that you just made, that science has to exist. So he goes, how is it not scientific? Which is his response to Peterson. How is it not scientific? Okay.
Well, because it's not derived from the scientific process, as you just indicated.
It's not derived from the scientific process. It would seem that the evolution process is rather scientific, because it's whatever, when things work, they continue. When they don't work, they don't continue. So there is some sort of scientific mechanism there. It's not logical. It's not logical that I think what he goes into is like, if somebody has to observe it for it to be logical. It's like, no. Okay. There is morality in chimpanzees, but not science. Okay. There's only morality in chimpanzees if you observe it, I think.
From the scientific process.
Okay, well, because it's not derived from a scientific process. Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it is because of, if we're talking about development, adaptation, all of that stuff, that in this person's mind, the way that this developed, this does make sense. No, it does use a scientific, hey, thought patrol, it's been a while. It does use a scientific model. So as you just indicated, it's not derived from the scientific process. It's the fact that, hang on a second.
The fact that
hang on a sec.
we are social animals.
It's not derived from the scientific process. I think it would be, not the scientific process, but a logical mechanism, but okay. It's from the fact that we are social animals. We need to exist as a group. So he repeats himself. So first of all, he says, not derived from scientific process, the fact that we are social animals. So did he say hang on a second? Because he's like, no, Peterson. Get yourself together.
We need that to exist as a group.
I
right?
agree, but
Sure.
you pointed to the morality of Neanderthals, to the morality.
I agree, but you pointed to the morality of Neanderthals. Okay. So he agrees that we are social animals. We need to be together. So that's how we developed it. We need to exist as a group. Oh, I think that's what he agrees with. He agrees with we need to exist as a group. See, remember I split them earlier. We need to exist as a group. Maybe that's where the split does come for both of them. We need to exist as a group. And he goes, I agree. Okay, so we have that as in agreement. This also is a repeat, so we have to do this. He agrees, but you pointed to the morality of Neanderthals, to the morality of chimpanzees. They didn't derive that from science. See, this is where he has to confront the idea of where do you think they derived it from, if they didn't derive from science. So I would say they continued to exist a lot better when they got along better, when they were nicer to each other. That's why they developed it. That should be your theory from evolution, right? Because you don't have the luxury as a person who believes in God. You don't have the luxury that a person who believes in God can just say, oh, well, it's because God said so. You don't have that. You have to say because it's evolution said so. So, okay, you brought up the Neanderthals, okay, and they didn't derive that from science. Let's see, how did they derive it?
Morality of chimpanzees. They didn't derive that from science.
They don't need to. That's not how
That's
that
my
works.
point.
They don't need to. That's not how that works. Yeah, they don't need to, but that's the point. His point is, sees it. Whoopsie. So he says, look, they don't need to, so moot point. But he's like, that's my point. So the point. That's not how that works. They don't need to. Science explains it. Okay.
Science explains it. So you
No,
just-
science doesn't explain
What?
morality.
it doesn't.
Wait. This transcript took some of him out. Just hold
It
on.
isn't in itself scientific.
How's that not scientific?
And because it's not derived from the scientific process, as you just
It
indicated,
doesn't
by
need to derive
pointing
from the
to...
scientific process. It's
Hang
the
on,
fact that
hang on a sec.
we are social animals, so we need that to exist as a group.
I
right?
agree, but
Sure.
you pointed to the morality of Neanderthals, to the morality of chimpanzees. They didn't derive that from science.
They don't need to. That's not how
That's
that
my
works.
point.
Science explains.
That's my point. That's my point. They didn't derive it from science. And his point is, yeah, you see, we didn't get morality from science. We got it from, I don't know, he's not giving us where we got it from, but we didn't get it from science, and we can't get it from science, okay? Which, this is in line with his claim, yes. His point is that morality doesn't come from science. So, in a way, this is, he sees this as a concession. Jordan Peterson sees this as a concession. JBP sees this as concession. Brian is agreeing that scientific method doesn't need to be present to derive morality. But for me, it's like, okay, scientific process, the scientific questions, all of that doesn't need to be there, but there's a mechanism that happens. There's a mechanism of, okay, this induces life, this makes life continue, and this doesn't. That's what evolution is supposed to be.
So you
No,
just-
science doesn't explain morality.
it doesn't explain.
That's my point. So science, so he says science explains it. Okay, so it explains it, but it doesn't create it. So they don't need to, science explains it. And so they, again, I think what I'll just note is that with meaning it doesn't create it, but it observes it. Observes, explains it, cool. Also, this is the wrong font. No, not that. Indie flower. There we go. Uh-oh. Not that. Okay.
Explain how social animals would need to be.
Well, that's a
Altruistic.
complicated.
No, science doesn't explain morality. Okay, so it just says no. Remember the no, you can do that in an argument because that's literally, if you don't disagree on premises, if you'd say this is my premise, I don't agree that exists, that's the truth. You can say no, it's just it's funny in a diagram, that's all. No, science doesn't explain morality. Okay. It doesn't explain how social animals would need to be good to each other. Oh,
They didn't derive that from science.
They don't need to. That's not how
That's
that works.
my point.
Science explains it. So you
No,
just-
science doesn't explain morality.
it doesn't explain how social animals would need to be.
Well, that's
Altruistic.
that's a complicated question.
But we see it though.
that's a complicated question. Uh-oh. That's a complicated question. Okay, so he's asserting, don't need to put the exact words, but he's asserting that science, it's actually, he's still there, that's what he's asserting, so we don't need to do more. What's this? So he just says it's a complicated question. What next?
Yeah, but explaining the evolution of morality and explaining morality itself aren't the same thing.
We see it though. But explaining the evolution of morality, this is playing word games. Explaining the evolution of morality and explaining morality itself aren't the same thing. Yeah, they aren't supposed to be the same thing. We're talking about... Okay. Explaining the evolution, this sounds very profound, Mr. Peterson. But, we need to go further from this. Explain to us further.
Okay, so you're asking why does this happen?
Yes, that's more accurate.
Because we're social.
So you're asking, explaining the evolution of morality and explaining morality itself aren't the same thing. So explaining the evolution of morality is by saying how did it, why did it evolve? So he goes, so you're asking why does this happen? And apparently he says yes. Why does morality happen? I suppose. And he goes, we evolved it. This is some of the most brain dead talk. I'm not feeling it. I ask, yes. That's the more accurate because we're social animals.
Social animals. We
Yeah,
need
but there's
to be.
more to it than that.
Is there?
Sure. For example, so we're moral animals that have a sense of the future.
Okay. He says there's more of it. Yeah, I think yes, our morality is a lot more complex, but all he's saying is that our complex morality evolved along with our complex consciousness. That's literally all he's doing. So explaining that they are the same thing. Let's go. We've got more things here. Social animals, but here there's more to it than that. Sure, there's more to it than that. He's saying there's more to it than that. That's what he's trying to assert, is that it's more to it than that. It's like, no, it's they believe that the complexity comes from just accident.
Sure.
Okay, that makes us unique, and that structures our morality.
No,
Okay, so we are moral animals that have sense of the future. Okay, so sense of the future makes us unique. And he goes, no, actually there are other animals that can predict the future, or not predict. No, tigers. Oh my goodness, what?
actually, there are other animals that can predict the future. Or
Not
predict
really.
the future. No, tigers. Actually, there was a tiger at the SF Zoo that killed somebody. And so
Hunting
actually,
animals.
no.
Okay, he's saying that there are other animals that do it. Okay, there are other, and which makes it, because he said which makes us unique. I don't know if that's the valid. Now, what are you arguing? Why are you arguing that animals need to see the future? Why are you arguing that? Is it to help you say, look, other animals can develop consciousness, or okay, which makes us unique? I'm in agreement. Our consciousness is quite something. We have sense that. Then he goes, tigers. A tiger that killed someone. I guess animals can't think. Okay, man.
No. Kids threw shit at the tiger. The tiger actually plotted its escape, and it found the
I'm not
kids.
saying that animals.
Wow. A tiger planned its escape. Tiger who planned an escape and found the kids who threw things at it. So the tiger's revenge. I don't see why we need to talk about the tiger's revenge. Shere Khan is over here. So tigers see lottery numbers. Well, let's go. Not need, but we have a sense of the future. Okay, so here.
Can't think.
Okay.
No.
Yes, we don't need to. He's not saying. I'm not saying. Daisy can think and plan. Hey, do? Yeah, you can think and plan. Yeah, you know exactly what to do. Yes, it's pretty girl. Okay, what are you saying? We're talking past each other so badly here. I'm finding it very hard to find value both ways here.
But they can
Pause here.
see the future. That's what I'm saying.
Well-
Voted out by the majority.
Yeah, you've been voted out by the majority. I don't like the conversation. It's not that he's not doing well. I mean, maybe it's because of the tigers that they voted him out. But you know what? I guess it's like restart. Let's start. Thank you for playing, Brian. He was voted out by the majority. I think it's not just Brian's fault. It's just that the conversation was just going nowhere. Please, can we get a better one?
Thank you, man.
Good man. Yeah.
I don't think anyone won there. Nobody lost points. Nobody added points. Xena!
How you doing?
Oh,
How you
not
doing,
Xena. Oh, this guy.
My name's Luke. Nice to meet
Good
you.
to see you, Luke.
So your claim that morality and purpose can only be found in science is a little shaky because I think that your claim is really being framed to be morality and purpose can only be found in religion.
I like that. That is a good way to start the conversation because you want to hear more about what like in the previous claim, the claim kind of meant, okay, that asserts that second part, that you cannot but believe in God. The only way for you to exist is that you either don't understand God, therefore you don't believe in him, or you believe in God because you understand. And that's it. Like, you will never understand God and reject him at the same time. That's not how atheists live, apparently. So I like that Luke has done this, taken his claim and said, okay, well, you know what you're trying to say here. I need to check whether you're saying that I need, like, this claim on its own has baggage. So he goes, not to me, So your claim that morality and purpose can only be found in science is a little shaky because I think that your claim is really being framed to be morality and purpose can only be found in religion. That is a good point. I think it maybe is this a good start? Good way to approach this format. Go into the implications of the claim to find the, you go into the implications of the claim so that you can find what actually the person's argument is. Or you could sit down and say, what is your argument? And then that's how it helps. Instead of going in with the counter argument immediately. It's timed, format weakness, but we get blood sports if we don't. We get blood sports if we time it. Okay, implications of the claim to find the core argument. Okay. Just get this. Hey, no, none of that. By the way, guys, can you still hear the music? Okay. Where am I at here? Okay, what does he say to this?
Is that how you're kind of framing it?
I would say that the domain of religion is the domain of morality and purpose. Yes, exactly.
Okay, well done. You got him. You got him to take a position. Luke, you got him to take a position. This is incredible. Daisy got upset with me because I got too excited. Is that how you're kind of framing it? This is great. Well done. But he has to slightly reword it. He just has to slightly reword it. I would say that the domain of religion is the domain of morality and purpose. Yes, exactly. Like, you could just say yes, but he has to just make the statement. He is so used to it's just son of debate brain. Yes, I know he's being precise in his speech, but to me, it's like this barrier. He has to make sure that he says the statement. He's in a hostile environment, so he has to say this. Has to phrase it himself, lest he is misquoted or something. But it's very weird. It's like this actually reminds me of the is an owl a bird? It would be really interesting if somebody went to Jordan Peterson in this debate and said, is an owl a bird? I honestly, it's one of the first things that when I did my first debate diagram, that was one of the questions. It was with Sitch and Adam. They started off with it. And honestly, I think bring back is an owl a bird. Like, I think, woo? No, really, it is. It is great. Ooh, Daisy, come on now. She's not allowing me to be enthusiastic here. An owl is a bird with great PR. Or it might be as his time as an instructor. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, you're right. Prize might also. Hi, welcome back. Is a waffle a pancake? No. You see, that's too much. No. Is an owl a bird? Is a good question to see how debate-brained a person is. Because they'll go, if they find it difficult to just say yes, it's a freaking bird, then you're like, okay, they're really on defensive. They're on defensive mode here, and they are going to be very difficult to get to. You have to go through. You have to penetrate a lot of debate brain to get to the brain. Okay. Right. I heard owls were stupid. Who would have known? I'm South African. I'm not from the UK, but you can sometimes hear the UK in South Africa.
Exactly. And also that science is actually structured, at least in part technically, to eliminate such considerations from its purview a priori.
Okay. So also that science is actually and also, so you couldn't just say yes. Also, science is actually structured, at least in part technically, to eliminate such considerations. Okay. Eliminate morality, from its purview a priori. Okay, that's fine. That's the scientific method. I'm in agreement with this. I understand what he means. You're trying to look at it as objectively as possible, right? Okay, right. That's why we define science as value-free. Yes. Yeah, I understand what he means by this.
Okay.
Right? That's why we define science as value-free.
Yeah. Okay, so science is value-free. It's supposed to be value-free. But what they're saying is science. If we looked at it scientifically, evolution, which I suppose can be observed scientifically, or seems to be a logical process that developed morality, is what they're trying to say. Owl is a dinosaur that lost its reptilian nature. Source Jurassic Park. Also, the egg came before the bird. Okay, good. Atheist Game, at least we know where you're at. It's a pterodactyl. You see? It would happen. No, it's not. It's not genocide. It's not genocide.
But that has
It's just really, really, really bad killing.
to be wrong because scientists have to prioritize their attention to
Okay. And the act of prioritization of attention, wait, that has to be wrong. Value-free, but that has to be wrong because scientists have to prioritize their attention towards something before they can engage in observation. Okay. We save science is values-free. But that's wrong. Next point, but that is wrong. So because of this, okay? Because we actually, it is wrong because scientists have to prioritize their attention towards something before they can engage in observation. So there is a value. I'm in agreement with him. Yes, there is a level of value. Choosing what to observe does involve some sort of value judgment. Because there's a layer there. It does do something. You have to apply certain rules of what is value. Yes. And the act of prioritization of attention is a value predicated act. I'm in agreement. I can follow you, boy. I love it when you make sense. I love it when you talk foreign, and I like it when you make sense. Okay. We're definitely not in control of the universe? No. I thought we were. I thought that if I just willed something, it would happen. Active prioritization is, so that's basically what I said here, choosing what to focus on. But of course he has to say it all proper. He is a professor. What do you want from him? Okay. Yes. Next. Yes. So, what is next? How does this guy interact with this idea? I'm liking the foundation that he's given us here. Yeah, value. So value is, he's putting value. The fact that there is a value placed on what we observe, what does that mean about? I think he's just going to go back to morality precedes science.
towards something before they can even engage in observation.
Okay.
And that act of prioritization of attention is a value predicated act. And so
You don't need, you speak simple.
I can continue. There's all sorts of things we have to assume about science before it can take place.
Yeah, I would have preferred him to continue because I would like him to state his argument so that bro over here or anybody else on the panel of the 20 people could then know what they're arguing against. It's great when you know what, you should be making him take a position so that you can understand it and then attack it if you need to. Or yeah, if he's right, then what are you going to do? You can at least show where your opinion differs. So I can continue. There's all sorts of things we have to assume about science before it can take place. That's basically the same idea. Sorry. I'll just put that here. It's the same point. They don't follow on. What I'm specifically pointing out, okay.
Okay, so what I'm specifically pointing out here is about religion in particular, since you yourself are a Christian, right?
Oh, here we go. He's pressed the button, boys. Uh-oh. Okay, so I don't know where he's going, so he doesn't take this here. I think it goes in its own block. He goes, so what I'm specifically pointing out is about religion. Okay. Religion, in particular, since you yourself are a Christian, right? Uh-oh, so what's he gonna say? That's people debate about that. I'm generally don't discuss it publicly. Let's see.
That's people debate about that, and I generally don't discuss it publicly.
Sir, why are you here? What are you talking about? Huh? I still don't get it. Like, look, I understand. There's some label that taking the side somehow diminishes him. He has to be aside from Christianity. He can't call himself a Christian, but he believes in God. Can you say the words, I believe in God? Is that enough? Or I believe in a God, or I'm agnostic. Could you say something like that? Could you say I'm not an atheist? Could you do that? I would like him to say that. Could that be a thing? So instead we're going to be all enigmatic. Woo, international man of mystery. And we're just going to say, yeah, people debate that. People debate about that. I generally don't discuss it publicly. Are you just fucking with us? This makes me go like, are you just enjoying the fact that people debate it and you never talk about it publicly? It's like, but also, you're probably going to need to in this scenario. Speaking to atheists. What is your position? You don't look, I understand in I was going to say I understand in general life it's okay, general discussion with him, if he wants to have this rule that he doesn't say he's a Christian, and fuck you for trying to push him into saying anything, taking a certain position. But then I was going to say, well, when you go into this format, you're going to need to. You could go into it with the caveat of, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, or I am playing the part of the Christian here. I'm arguing for the Christian side. And that could be your little jazzy way of saying, I'm not really a Christian. Could do that. But he doesn't. And I don't know, is it really that hard to say I'm not an atheist? I think that's, at least you could say that. But why do you have to be all coy about this? What is your position? Why the coyness? Maybe say I'm not an atheist. That's equally mysterious. I'm not an atheist. He believes in Set. He's playing devil's at public attorney. Okay, so.
Okay, I understand that. And me, myself, I am a former young earth creationist fundamentalist.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that happens. That you'll find some really passionate atheists in young earth that are previously young earth, okay? Because it's hard to be a young earth creationist. it's basically you against the whole world. So yeah, you're gonna feel like a bit of an ass. Okay, and me myself, former young creationist fundamentalist. What is that? It's somebody who believes that the world is, I think, 4,000 years old. So it's that they're Bible literalists, they're Bible fundamentalists that literally this is how the Bible was made. Dinosaurs were alive. One of the things is that dinosaurs were alive with humans. The Earth is not millions and millions of years old. It's anti. Oh, is it 6,000? Sorry, 6,000. It's anti. What's the name? It's anti-evolution. So there's that. It's like evolution does not. It's just a theory. Okay. So so that's what they mean by fundamental. That literally it's a very difficult place to exist.
So I have experience in this. I used to run a TikTok channel directed about apologetics about the Bible, specifically in this type of facet with morality, evolution and such, and going back and forth with that. So in the Bible, it talks a lot about slavery, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna just put TikTok background covering Christian apologetics. Okay, cool. And then he goes, slavery in the Bible. What about it? What of it? Let's put a circle around it. Sorry. I might have to do some pre-diagramming this weekend because we won't be able to do a full session today.
Yes.
Yes. So in that, it teaches you how to take care of a slave. Rather than saying slavery is wrong, I think
No,
it
it
should
says
say
that in the story of Moses.
Oh, so now they're gonna argue. See, I'm here to argue about. I'm good for Bible people arguing about Bible stuff. You know, when the Bible says one thing here and another thing there, let's talk about it. That's fun. So I have to, because it's like we accept this source. Now what do we do? Okay, I used to run a TikTok channel directed about apologetics, Bible specific. Oh, sorry, not Christian, covering Christian Bible apologetics. Okay. With morality, evolution, okay. What did he say? So it talks about slavery. So in the Bible, it teaches you how to take care of a slave rather than saying slavery is wrong. Okay. And his counter to this is no. It should, and I think it should. Okay. It says that in the story of Moses. It says what? Okay.
Slavery is incorrect. It says
Well,
it's immoral.
that's why Moses leads his people away from slavery.
Oh, okay. So I think it should. So yeah, there's this disappointing thing of like, hello, bro. You're supposed to be the Bible. You're supposed to tell me what's good, and it's just like, no, you should do this to your slave, and you should do that. That's very, very difficult to contend with. But then you could go, okay, well, it's literally, this is of the time. This is what was actually relevant to them at the time, and that's not good enough for a lot of people as well. It's not a good enough explanation. Okay, so, but it shouldn't have taken that long for the Bible to get to the point of saying love thy neighbor. You know. You see if you've got the green, because I do have quite the sexy green eye, dark hair, green eyes, crazy combination.
But why does the Bible predicate and tell people exactly how to take care of a slave?
So, sorry, he says, that's why Moses leaves. So that's immoral. It says slavery is incorrect. It says it's immoral. That's why Moses leads his people away from slavery. It was from the, that is where the moral thing is. But it never does say, well, this is bad. It's just, no, he's suffering. People are paying taxes to Pharaoh, and they've slaved under Pharaoh's rule.
Isn't
Well,
that immoral? Wouldn't you say that culture
Sorry, but why does the Bible predicate and tell people why exactly? So he's asking why. Why does the Bible predicate and tell people exactly how to take care of a slave? That would be basically he's saying like that seems like a that actually seems like an endorsement, right? Implying that the Bible endorses slavery. Because it's like, it's not saying don't set your slave free. It's saying, okay, this is how you're good to a slave. Be a good slave owner, guys.
Truly, we've evolved as a species, as he said earlier about empathy.
Okay. Isn't that immoral? Yeah, it should be immoral. So he's basically going to this, you're okay, I understand what he means here. He's going to, you're looking for morality in the Bible, right? Because it's not in science. You're looking for morality because it's in the Bible. You're saying that's where it is. But look at the Bible, and in the Bible, it gives us something that is immoral. So, Bible endorses slavery, which is immoral. Therefore, religion doesn't give us morality. That's basically his argument. Okay, isn't that immoral? Wouldn't you say that culturally we've evolved past as a species, as you said earlier, to empathy? So this is where we go. Okay, we evolved past that to say that it was immoral. About empathy, I would say that the reason we evolved, so to speak, away from slavery was because the West was founded on Judah. Oh, okay, so that's what he's going to say. This is interesting because he's going to talk about the Judeo-Christian yo, Bible, where's my 40 acres and a slave? So, does the Bible actually contradict itself? If so, my family is being led astray. And it seems like it contradicts itself because it has one standard over here and one standard over here. But it's an evolution of standards. That's what you're supposed to take from it. As far as that's what I've learned, is that the standards in the Old Testament are fully fleshed out in the New Testament.
I would say that the reason we evolved, so to speak, away from slavery was because the West was founded on Judeo-Christian morality.
So, Christian morality, but he's just given you an example, because this is the gotcha that they do, right? He's given you the example that in the Bible, have you read the Bible? Yes, I have. I do read the Bible, and I'm only on Exodus at the moment. Tons of contradictions. Yeah, there's interesting things where it's like, oh, you'll surely die if you see God, but also if as long as you put on this jewelry and this specific coat or whatever and this oil, you won't die if you see God. So, cool. Okay. That's why I'm not a literalist of the Bible. So, yeah, I would say that the reason we evolved, so to speak, away from slavery was because, so I'm actually more towards what Peterson seems to get from the Bible, which is the meaning, looking at the meaning, what you're supposed to learn from it. Okay, I would say the reason we evolved, so to speak, away from slavery was because of the West, okay? Judeo-Christian morality and the presumption that every person was made in the image of God. So slavery itself became immoral. That was established by Protestant Christians in the UK, who then convinced the UK government for 200 years to go to war. Okay, let's put that in there. So, but like, he's going to bring it back to the Bible, though. He's just going to be like, but there's this Bible verse, though. There's this Bible verse that says it's okay. So if we think about the Bible, it's like, what about the rest of the Bible? Okay, so yeah.
And the presumption that every person was made in the image of God.
Yeah, it has prescription and description. Exactly. A lot of it is actually, so far, what I've seen is description. But the most uncomfortable thing for me so far in my experience has been the prescription of the Ark of the Covenant. Very, very practical instructions there that I'm like, wow, this really seems to serve the priests that are structuring this whole idea. This really seems to be about them. yeah, I'm battling with that part. But that doesn't mean now I'm like, okay, I don't believe in God. It's the end of it. Have left the faith or drown themselves in the Bible. They drown themselves in the Bible? So you drown yourself in the Bible by just quoting it? Okay, so let's put this morality. Sorry, I want to just break this up because it's a big chunk. Was made in the image of God. So slavery became moral, and that was established by the Protestants. So he just goes into a bit of how that worked. Put that there. Okay. Now, tell me.
Wouldn't you say
So
that
slavery itself became immoral, and
Yeah.
that was established by Protestant Christians in the
Yes.
UK, who then convinced the
Yes.
UK government for 200 years to go to war on
And
slavery.
wouldn't you say that this is about the cultural evolution of humans in general rather than just Christianity?
No, I think it's the
'Cause
It's so difficult to, you can't remove Christianity from the evolution of humans, of society, of it was religion itself. You can't remove religious belief from humanity. It's where do we get that? We had it before. There were deities before. It's almost as if we have this preconceived idea that there is something more. So there's forces larger than us, and they evolved. This idea evolved, and wouldn't say that this is about the cultural evolution in general, rather than just Christian. So he's just saying, well, no, we just culturally, but you can't remove this. For my example, for my point of view, can you even remove this? Can you remove? Can you consider cultural development, evolution, without any religion? It seems like all religions, all humans would have some sort of cultural constancy, some cultural authoritarianism, something, some law, some belief that is in there. And you can't, they're inextricable. You cannot take them apart. So I don't think, I guess we for this, I'm like, what do we even do here? Which is where I start going, ha, you see, I don't fucking understand it. Isn't that great? Okay.
Flowering of the ideas that were embedded in the biblical texts across
All religions are cults. I think it's the flowering of the ideas that were embedded in the biblical. Oh, so we get the fumes. Remember, Greg said there's going to be the fumes. He didn't say there's going to be, but I thought because he brought up that term, the fumes of Christianity, I'm waiting for that to come up. So he says, I think it's the flowering of the ideas that were embedded in the biblical text across long spans of time. Yeah, I think so. I'm with you. But he's saying only biblical texts. I'm wondering if it's all religious texts. Because yes, there is the main one, the book. Okay. We've got all the three different books, the Abrahamic religions. I think those are the main ones, but there's other religious foundations then also that were also there before.
long spans of time.
I feel like this is just humans editing based on the cultural evolution.
What do you-
Yeah, I don't think this is a fun argument. I don't want to it's not a fun argument. I don't think this serves anything, this whole discussion, because it's like you can't separate them in the first place. So do I need to? Let's look here. Do I need to be able, with what his argument is? There is about religion in particular, since you yourself are a Christian, right? So he brought about Christianity, right? So he's trying to say that morality, maybe he's trying to say morality precedes Christianity. Morality precedes religiosity. Morality precedes or evolves alongside society. Okay. And then religion occurred, because it stands to reason that you had this works to that social group thing that you brought up, that we need this because We need morality because we need to cooperate, and we live when we cooperate. Cool. Then you develop this thing of a higher power because there are other powers that influence your reality, and you start to personify them or deify them. And they are also things that can punish you. So you also think of that. Yeah, I think we need to talk about which comes first. Yeah. Hey, Cyberringer. Good morning or afternoon. The fumes of pumpkin spice latte is something I refuse to consume, but you bring it up a lot, Cyberringer. I should actually buy some pumpkin spice. That's cool. Let's do that. Okay, let's go back here. So yeah, he is saying they are extricable if you go far back enough. Okay, so he wants to go far back enough. Can you consider cultural evolution without any religion? Point is, it happened before Christianity. What do you mean by just? And that, I guess, is a joke. Altruism before society. Okay. So hold on. Look here. We've got, because I know it's a joke that we've got Jordan Peterson saying, what do you mean by this? Blah, blah.
Then convinced
Yes.
the UK government for 200 years to go to war on
And
slavery.
wouldn't you say that this is about the cultural evolution of
I don't believe in being punished by deity. The Bible itself. So Rishi, I suppose I think your family is. You said at least your family is part of like doing Bible study. So, considering what I was just reading for about Job, that actually isn't a thing that you're supposed to believe because of Christianity. In Christianity, believing God will just give you good things because you're good, or God will give you bad things because you're bad. That's a reduction that God does not approve of. God does whatever the fuck He wants with your life, and the best thing that you can do is accept it.
humans in general rather than just Christianity?
No, I think it's the
'cause
I mean, it wasn't worded like that. I mean, it doesn't say in the Bible, God will do whatever the fuck He wants. No, it doesn't say that, but it's essentially the thing. Okay, just human. Sorry, let's go back a sec. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Isn't
Well,
that immoral? Wouldn't you say that culturally we've evolved as a species, as he said earlier about empathy?
Yeah, I would say that the reason we evolved, so to speak, away from slavery was because the West was founded on Judeo-Christian morality and the
Yeah.
presumption that every person was made in the image of God.
Wouldn't you
And
say
so
that
slavery itself became immoral, and
Yeah.
that was established by Protestant Christians in the
Yes.
UK,
God makes a bet with Satan, not Job. Not Job.
who then convinced the
Yes.
UK government for 200 years to go to war on
And
slavery.
wouldn't you say that this is about the cultural evolution of humans in general rather than just Christianity?
No, I think it's the
'Cause
flowering of the ideas that were embedded in
Guys, wait, reminder from last week, guys. Morningstar woke. Remember, guys. Don't forget. Who of you woke up this morning? What do you do in the morning with the morning star?
in the biblical texts across long spans of time.
I feel like this is just humans editing based on the culture.
Okay, I need to put that in there. Sorry, he needs. I feel like this is humans editing. Okay, this is humans just editing based on the cultural evolution. What do you mean by that? What does he mean by that? What do you mean by editing? Like what they add Christianity, or editing their moral code as they evolve? Okay, so let's see. We are not technically free. Slaves to the Bible system, slaves to God, not slaves to God, absolutely owned by God, because He created us, which is very difficult for a person to be comfortable with. It. Like, no, it's mine. It's all mine. It's like that. That's why believing God seems to be like a submission, an act of submission.
Cultural evolution.
And what do you
of
mean
morality.
by just?
What do you mean by just? I think this is just humans editing. So it's only. When somebody says just, I think only, right? That's what I mean when somebody says just.
Just?
Yeah, just humans.
It's no. Please, Peterson, are you saying What do you mean by just humans? No.
Humans.
Editing.
Well,
What do you mean by just? Like, I thought at least he was gonna say, what do you mean by editing? That is a normal question to ask someone, right? You went and you asked just. So what I'm assuming, if you're gonna ask somebody about the word just, that means that you are quibbling. What he's doing by asking this question is he's quibbling with the person about the limit, the extent to which humans are editing. Because if it's just humans editing, okay, that means it's only humans editing. It's only, right? So that's what I would imagine an intellect like just Jordan Peterson it does, right? He's thinking of that. He will ask that instead of my intellect that goes, what do you mean by editing? His intellect goes, let's go all the way down to just, because when that is like the most, really the foundational question we could ask in this sentence. So I hope that that's what he means, because if he means just as in justice, get the fuck out. That's not what bro meant. Stop assuming what people mean for your own purposes. That's not fun. Good morning, Lucifer. Okay, so what do you mean by just? Again, this is just would mean, just here would mean only humans editing. That's what he's working with. He's not talking about justice, not justice. And I will ask, does Peterson have an issue with the word, the only meaning, or the wrong, the incorrect? Okay, I don't know if we find out. I like the HP bars. We might be losing some HP for Peterson here, but with this, what do you mean by just?
based on
Just us. Yes, clips a lot. That's it.
culture and history, right? We get better.
Well, they
and-
did do it based on culture and history, but
What do you mean by just? Yeah, just humans. Okay. Just humans. Okay, hold on. Sorry, we need to replay this. I thought I was doing fewer replays, but no. Even with the transcript, this is.
I feel like this is just humans editing based on the cultural evolution.
what do you
of
mean
morality.
by just?
Just?
Yeah, just
I love the way he's like, just?
humans.
Well, humans.
Editing.
Well,
Yeah.
Just humans. Yes, you see, maybe he did mean to ask what's editing. What do you mean by just humans and editing? That's what he mumbles here.
based on culture and history, right?
He doesn't actually answer the question, so oopsie. Based on culture and history, right? Okay. That's the answer.
Right? We get better.
Well, they
and-
did do it based on culture and history, but
Yes.
culture and history have their foundations too.
Oh, why did you have to interrupt him? Let him make the fucking point. Well, anyway, never mind. You get a flyover because bros just fuck your words. Honestly, fuck the fact that you are making the point based on, because I asked you a question, but I literally don't let you answer it. Not that I think this was the answer. Anyway, what do you say? We get better. We get better. Well, they did based on culture. Okay, maybe he said we get better. Okay. We get better. We get better. Okay. Apparently we do. Well, they did do it based on culture and history, but culture and history have their foundations too. Okay. So it's all very difficult to pull apart, is what I'm getting again.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about slavery. So many people bolstered it based on the
Everyone
Bible.
except
Based on the
that's-
Bible, they
that's
looked at
much
it
less
and they
true.
justified it in the United States and the Deep South. They justified slavery.
yeah, but the
based
main
So now we're talking about what humans did with this scripture, which is not where I'm at with it. That's not what I'm really interested in. Like, I want to read the scripture itself. it does not come as a surprise to me that people would use the scripture to justify immoral actions. So, well, yeah, because that's humans, because it seems like it's pretty much tainted with humanity. So, well, yeah, but we're talking about slavery. So many people bolstered it based on everyone. So this is actually, sorry, this is supposed to be following on, but it's not. Okay? When you don't follow on from a point and continue here, I actually need to go a little bit further back to show that you've just kind of floated around. So when he goes, but we're talking about slavery, that's literally it. This is the last time we were talking about slavery in the Bible, the way you said it. Oh, but we're talking about slavery. So we're talking about slavery, so he's moved us back in the conversation. Sorry, this is me thinking out loud of why I'm moving things in certain ways. And the reason I put stuff in different places is so that visually you can see where we moved in the conversation based on culture. So, well, yeah, but we're talking about slavery. It's so many people bolstered it. Everyone based on the Bible, they looked at it. Okay, bolstered it based on the Bible. So says they looked at it. All have looked at it in the United States and the Deep South. They judged about slavery. Okay. So what's your response to that, Peterson?
The main thrust of Protestant thought in particular was stringently against slavery, and it was about the only movement in the history of the human race that had an anti-slavery direction.
Which was
Okay, it's about the only movement in humanity that had anti-slavery. Okay. So he's just like, no, the Protestants' main thrust was thought in particular stringently against slavery, and it was the only movement in history in the human race that had anti-slavery direction, driven by humans and their understanding. Oh, he says that. Okay.
driven by humans and their understanding
That's one
of
way of
morality.
looking at it. Well,
Driven by humans and their understanding of morality. Humans and their understanding of morality. I should expect that the flag should start coming up now, because their understanding of morality and all of that, it's, again, I refer to the inextricability of the two things. They're way too, like, you need to go further back for us to make this concept. Main thrust, blah, blah, and he goes, okay, it is, which was driven by humans and their understanding of morality. That doesn't change any of the... I don't feel like this counters his argument. We're still not talking about science either. What's Protestants' issue with antique farm equipment?
It's the same with women's suffrage. I mean, women's
Oh, it's the same with women's suffrage. Okay, let's go. We had slavery in the Bible. Let's maybe go here. If we're going to suffrage, it depends. It's the same. Same. So he's talking about the progress, I suppose, women's suffrage. So we progress towards women having more freedom. And that worked out really, really awesome for everyone. Okay, especially cheeky chicks like me.
what do you mean it was driven by humans?
Oh, he went back, sorry. What do you mean it was driven by humans? You mean it was driven by humans? What do you mean by it was driven by humans? I'll put it here. Yeah, humans drove slavery too. Okay, interesting. Okay, hold on.
Humans drove slavery too.
yes, exactly. They
So there's
Okay, it's like same as it's the same as women's suffrage that gets left behind. And he goes, you mean it was driven by humans? I mean, women's in the patriarchy. You mean it was driven by humans? Humans drove slavery too. Hold on, we need to get back to this because I have made some mistakes here. None of these atheists had anything on JP. They had more questions than anything else, more questions and arguments or points to make, etc. Some of them did have points, and you know what? The points that they got were because Peterson refused to take a stance. Like yesterday's losses were literally because he kept dodging. How can I be a Christian if I've only in Exodus? It's not like that's the only scripture I've been exposed to. Don't worry, I haven't just started. I was raised Catholic, so but I'm going through the whole Bible myself. No. Okay, so
I feel like this is just humans editing based on the cultural evolution.
What do you
of
mean
morality.
by just?
Just?
Yeah, just humans.
Well, humans.
Editing.
Well, based on culture and history, right? We get better.
They
and-
did do it based on culture and history, but
Yes.
culture and history have their foundations too. So
Well, yeah, but we're talking about slavery. So many people bolstered it based on the
everyone.
Bible.
Okay, so he's talking about bolstering it. I think that's it. Your problem was that it's bolstered. Okay. The slavery, we're talking about slavery. It's so many bolstered people. They looked at it and they justified it based on the Bible. But the main thrust, yes, okay. Driven by humans and their understanding of morality. So was slavery.
Based on the
That's-
Bible. They
that's
looked at
much
it
less
and they
true.
justified it in the United States and the Deep South. They justified slavery
Yeah, but
based
the
on
main
the Bible.
thrust of Protestant thought in particular was
Yes,
stringently
got that.
against slavery,
Which-
and it was about the only movement in the history
Yes.
of the human race that
Yes.
had an anti-slavery
Which-
direction.
Yes, good.
Which was driven by humans.
Yes. So the point that you're saying it was driven by humans, okay? So was slavery, okay? So progress out of slavery. So was slavery shouldn't matter to him.
And their
That's
understanding
one
of
way of
morality.
looking at it. Well, it depends.
It's the same with women's suffrage. I mean, women's
Okay, I'm actually gonna take this women's suffrage thing out here because it's just a fragment by itself. So here it's the same with women's suffrage. Now what?
in the patriarchy.
What do you mean it was driven?
What do you mean it was driven by humans? What do you mean it was driven by humans? Cool.
By humans. Humans drove slavery too.
Yes,
Humans drove slavery too. Humans driving slavery too is not gonna. That's not gonna matter to him because the point that he is concerned with, that the thing you need to agree with him on, is that they moved away from slavery. They evolved past slavery. That's his point. It doesn't matter that humans drove it both things. Sorry, what do you mean by driven? Sorry, I'm checking the wrong color here. Just so you guys know, blue is for Peterson, red is for his opponents. Okay.
exactly.
So there's no argument there. If slavery and anti-slavery were both driven by humans, what does your claim that they were driven by humans have to do with it?
That is true. That's why we don't need to talk about whether it was driven by humans. I'm with him on that. And I like this kind of thing with Peterson, is when he's interacting with an idea and just going, okay, what do you need to do with these pieces? You've given me this card, what are we supposed to do with it? That's what I enjoyed about Peterson. And some of you say that's just because I enjoy it because that's what midwits enjoy, is that when somebody is just using basic logic. But welcome to the world, that's actually not what people were doing when he came around. They weren't doing that, at least not as widely as before. Humans drove slavery too, is exactly so there's no argument there. This is what he's trying to say. If slavery and anti-slavery. Okay. Slavery too. Actually, in summary, he goes, so there's no argument there. Okay. Now he's going to give you a if statement so that we can understand. If slavery and anti-slavery were both driven by humans, what does your claim that they were driven by humans have to do with it? Yeah, so it's a common denominator. So what is the point? Why do we need to talk about it? It's a common denominator. We can cancel them out. Cancel out a common denominator and continue talking, I suppose. It's not a win though. I wouldn't say this is a win for him. He's taken points off from this guy's argument. It's just he's had an issue with the person's argumentation. He just doesn't know what argument he's making yet.
There's a
Morality
specific.
based on the culture that within the society that they live in.
Okay,
What did you say? Morality based on the culture within the society that they live in. What does that have to do with it? Okay, this is his answer to this. This is his answer to Peterson. When Peterson asks, what does the fact that it was driven by humans, if slavery and anti-slavery were both driven by humans, what does your claim that they were driven by humans have to do with it? So like, yeah, we're talking about the morality of slavery here. You're talking about whether it was driven by humans or not. What's the point? This is all wishy-washy stuff that it's not really making either of their points. BRB got to feed my sex. Okay.
So
Fine.
with
I think
women's
that did
suffrage as
happen.
well is a very similar topic.
Okay, so now let's see if he can make the point better with suffrage, I suppose. Random disagreement noises from Peterson. I'm just going to be like, doesn't seem to answer, to counter the previous point. But he put it here. Okay. And then. Well, okay, within the society that they live in suffrage. Morality based on the culture that they live in. Suffrage as well is a very similar topic in the Bible. Okay, so let's do the second one. Okay, because you started with slavery over here. So let's get a circle for you over here for the suffrage. Please let him go on to it, Peterson. Please.
In the Bible, there are denominations in Christianity, such as Pentecostal movement, which do bolster women to be pastors, right?
Okay, that's denomination. That's not the scripture itself. Now you're going into religion itself. But I guess that you can talk about religion itself. That's the whole point of this conversation. There are denominations in Christianity, such as Pentecostal movement, so he could be completely against them. He could be completely against churches themselves. I don't think he is. Pastors, right? Okay, so cool denominations. Nice about denominations, but then I love women pastors.
I think that's a great thing to do, but most like to disregard
where do you
women.
think the idea that human beings
Oh, fuck it now. Let the guy make points. Stop asking questions. Which I think that's a great thing to do. Okay, that's very nice. Thank you. Thank you for virtue signaling there. Okay, that's very nice. But like most to disregard. Okay. But most regard. Okay, so disregard. That's his problem. This is like for me, this is old school atheism. Where, you have a problem with religion itself, the organized religion, so you completely abandon the idea of any kind of God, or you're agnostic. But this is part of your stance on being atheist. It's about being anti-religion, and being pissed off with religious sects, which are very valid to do. Where do you think the idea that human beings were sufficiently equal to all vote and not to be slaves came from? Okay, so fuck you and whatever your line of reasoning was. Peterson has a question. And don't worry, guys. When I'm diagramming, I will make a point. I will give you a line if it does follow on. But right now, he's like, you know what? Fuck all of what you're saying here. Let's start again. And I will ask you a question. That's why I like the visual medium. See that he moved all the way there. Where do you think the idea that human beings were sufficiently equal to all votes and not be same came from? So what? And now, obviously, we're still in the same conversation. So bro is going to say humans.
Were sufficiently equal to all vote and not be slaves came from.
Humans.
Yeah, but so did the idea of slavery.
So did
that-
I love the squeaky voices right now. Humans. How cute was that? Sorry, if you hear it again.
were sufficiently equal to all vote and not be slaves came from.
Humans.
Yeah, but so did the idea of slavery.
So did
that-
So did the idea of slavery. Okay, I'm very easily entertained. Sorry, it's just the way it be. Humans, but so did the idea of slavery. But you said that didn't have any reason to be brought up. But okay, hold on. You've made him use the humans' reasoning. So did the idea of slavery. Wait, did he say so did the idea of God?
The idea of God.
Yes, so what are we doing? So what are we doing with this? So did the idea of God. Yes, exactly. So we're not talking about anything relevant. Neither of you are talking about anything relevant to whether science gives us morality or not. Okay, we all acknowledge that humans were involved in the development of morality. Could we agree on that? Okay, we can agree that humans are involved. He obviously quibbles with the idea of God being involved, man.
Fine, but what's
Yes.
your point? Like, you're not making an argument.
Yes, fine. What is your point? I agree with him. Shall I take a point off? Let's see how he finishes off.
You're just saying all thoughts come from humans,
Yes.
regardless of the thoughts.
It's not driven by a higher power. It's driven on our experiences
Define
as
higher.
humans.
Oh no, that's gonna make you lose points. Okay, I'm gonna take points off for time wasting because bro's just it all came from humans. He didn't make a clear enough argument. That's the point. I'm gonna say optical loss. Okay, so it's not exactly like I can pinpoint. I'll just say, what is the other one? It's this. Okay, so I'm taking points off for time wasting, and Peterson is the one that has followed your reasoning, and you're just not making your point. So I would have voted him out because he's just not making. As an atheist, if I was on the atheist side, I would have voted him out because I'm like, you're not representing. Like you're not using the time. But now, what do you mean by this is also not going to help us out. Just because the house is on fire doesn't mean I should get out of the house. Hume did say that you can't derive an ought from an is, and we've been stuck there for a long time, as that is the dismissal. With that is the dismissal. Ought from an is, which would be what? Sorry, I really enjoy your participation here. What would the ought and the is in this conversation be for me? Just help me out. I want to apply it here. What would the ought be and the is? Just frame it for me. People do things. I agree, Clips a lot. Look, it's a hot take, but people do stuff. Okay. God does cost money. I've just read a part of the Bible that it's about the offerings that you're supposed to give to for your life. You're supposed to give to the priests. You have to give certain amounts of money so that you may live. I just think that the science is the is and morality is the ought. Okay. I just want to, I like that idea. Okay, thanks, Sophilio. Are you subscribed? You better be back next week.
which is what is best for all people.
Is it driven by conscience?
It could.
Okay, so it says idea of God. Fine, but what's your point? I agree with him. What's your point? I think that's where I'll put it. Sorry. Fine, what's your point? But what's your point? I think that's got to go here. Da, 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 da. And here. Minus HP for time wasting. Not getting to the point. Also JP's follow through with both are driven by humans is appreciated. I like this. What is your point? Sorry. I guess I am being very charitable to Peterson because yesterday was tough on him, boys.
Be. Which conscious is also something that has evolved over time, and I think.
Oh, okay, you see, they that's a bit of like you're not making an argument. I like that actually. Sorry, that is a bit of reason to remove marks. You're saying that all thoughts come from humans regardless of the thoughts. Yeah, that is what you're saying. And I think, yeah, his understanding of what the person's argument is or isn't, the fact that they're not making an argument, that is an optical win. That's why I took points away. He's correct that the guy hasn't really made his arguments. But hey, he could maybe not be making his arguments. You could blame Peterson for that. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that exchange, except for the whole, what do you believe this? You know, when he says, what do you mean by this? It's becoming a meme. It's not driven by a higher power. Okay, it's not driven by a higher power. That's what he means by it. So finally he got to his argument. It's not driven by a higher power. And then he goes, what do you mean by a higher power? Oh, sorry, wrong one. There. It's not driven by higher power? What do you mean by higher power? You know what it means when he says higher power. He means it's not God. It's not, it's driven on our experiences, which is what is best for all people. So that's got to do with, yes, we figure out that it's better if we help each other out. So therefore we continue in that way. Is it driven by conscience? Okay, who says that? Hold on. Did he say, did this transcript not pick up that he said, what do you mean by higher power? But you know what, bro ignored it, which I love.
Meant to be pastors, right? Which I think that's a great thing
Blah, blah,
to
blah,
do. But most like to disregard
Where do you
women.
think the idea that human beings were sufficiently equal to all vote and not be slaves came from?
Humans.
Yeah, but so did the idea of slavery.
So did
that-
I love that word, slaves.
The idea of God.
Fine, but what's your
Yes.
point? Like, you're not making an argument. You're just saying all thoughts come from humans,
Yes.
regardless of the thoughts.
It's not driven by a higher power. It's driven on our experiences
Define
as
higher.
humans, which
Okay, it's driven by experiences as beings. Okay, and he says define higher power, but bro ignores it, which is, you know what, good on him, because we don't need to define higher power. That is a shit. Don't make me take points off. You're lucky that he actually ignored you. Okay? Because this is a no. This is a shit question to go into. Okay, but he's no, it's not a shit question to go into because no, we're going to we'll talk about morality within cultural. Like, for this man's argument, you need to take how he defines things. I know you're asking him to define it, but that's actually for you to divert him away from making his argument. So I'm glad he ignored you. Okay. Not actually good for making sense of what's his name? Luke's argument. We know what he means by higher power. He means Bible. He means deity, whatever. We know that. We can assume. There's a whole thing that you assume in order to understand him. We don't need to have that conversation. We need to go to the next step. Okay? Okay, so it could be which okay. Best of all people. Cool. What's next?
Is what is best for all people.
Is it driven by conscience?
Okay, so thank goodness he ignored it. Actually, let's put that there. Fly over. Glad Luke ignored it. If it went on, I'd have taken points. Peterson. Okay. Driven by experience is what's best for all people. And then he goes, I suppose it could be another fragment question. Is it driven by conscience? Okay. And then he's going to say, haha, I define God as conscience. And then they're going to say, we don't define God as conscience. And then we're going to be straight where we were with Greg. Is it driven by conscience?
Could be. Which conscious is also something that has evolved over time. And
that's basically what he's saying. That's what you're saying with your evolution argument. You're saying it evolved. We don't need the deities involved for this to happen. Could be which conscious also something that has evolved over time. Okay.
I think that's
What's
something
the
that does evolve in morality and empathy.
Okay, so I think that's something that does evolve with morality and empathy. So it's all evolution, guys. That's the point. That's what he's trying to say. Which, that's what actually Brian number 1 was saying. He was just actually kind of saying it a lot better and a lot more concise.
Okay, I don't understand the point that you're making.
My point is that God.
And for once, he's not talking shit. Okay, the fact that he says, I don't understand the point that you're making. When he said that earlier in the other claim, that was bullshit. He knows exactly. He says, I don't understand your definition of God at all. When you say, I don't understand the point you're making, you're kind of saying you're not making a point. What you need to give me more. But earlier on when Peterson said, I don't understand your definition, that's absolute bullshit. He very much understands it because that definition was being given. Okay. That you're making, my point is that God influenced slavery. Okay.
God influenced slavery. People looked at.
Okay, I don't understand your point. My point. Okay, this is just responding. My point is that God influenced slavery. Okay. God was involved in. God is impure. Right? Because he was involved with badness. And God even created Satan.
At the Bible and went, this is moral because God says so, just like women's suffrage.
People looked at the Bible and said, this is moral because God says so. And that's bad. So the Bible gave us bad morality. That's what he's trying to say. His argument is the Bible gave us bad morality. We evolved beyond the Bible. We evolved morality beyond the Bible. That's the best spin I can put on.
There's lots.
He would admit to trolling. Danny definitely looks like he was trolling. Like his whole face is I'm a troll. Like the look at the picture in the thumbnail. Bro is properly trolling. He just wants to really upset Peterson.
And just like homosexuality,
All human societies.
Okay. Just like homosexuality, I need to get going. What? We're at 7:43. claim to vid. Yeah. Okay, so that's where we're at there. I'm gonna have to stop it, guys. I do need to go to the doctor and get ready and all of that stuff. So let's have just a look at what we've done today. Not much. We've gotten through 2 out of 3. Not really 2, because there's still a lot of Luke that has to happen. There's no Matthew or Mark. Kidding. Get my joke. Okay, so let's put that there at just so that we can see it. That was fun. Good stream. Please do come back next week. It will be fun. I liked all the philosophy talk. I really like your input on the philosophy talk as well. So I really appreciate it. Hope to see you next week, because we'll be continuing with this on Monday. I'll hopefully have a little bit more like pre-diagrammed this weekend, so that we'll just be following the video with the diagram. And then we'll go into the live diagramming of claim 3. We're going claim by claim. It's a long journey. So right now, this is where we're at. We're at Luke. Brian brought the whole idea of evolving altruism, evolving caring about other people. Luke has tried to bring that in, but actually what his argument seems to focus on is that actually the Bible itself gave us immoral things. So how do you explain that? Hopefully the doctor can help me not become a clicker. I hope that I can at least wear makeup on Monday. Like I can at least cover it up by Monday, but that was not going to happen today. Have a godly one, everybody. Exactly, Richie Rich. Thanks for coming. Bye, guys. Let's turn off the background music. Thank you, Creamage, for background music, and Creamage for the exit. So, the only person who lost health today was the atheist side, because of kind of gotcha damage. This gotcha / optical damage, because he wasn't making a point. Okay, that's why. Okay, it's not real damage, not real reasonable damage, because we're totally scientific here with our points. Have a nice life. I'll see you guys on Monday, hopefully. And be good. Oh yes, I will be on Zax's stream on Saturday night though. So go head over there. You know him. You love him. Okay, thanks. Bye. Have a nice life.
I'm autistic as fuck, and so is Chad. We sparked out hard, yeah, we went full cat. Axel's still hissing, Daisy's on the shelf. She just knocked over the internet itself. I'll see you next time, take care. We'll be vibing again, I swear. It's been a long stream, you my friend. We'll talk about it when I see you again. We had some fun, we lost our way. That's all I've got, so go away. That's all I've got.